The San Miguel del Vado community was established in 1794 on a Spanish land grant of the same name. Located at the Santa Fe Trail's principal crossing of the Pecos River, it was a port of entry where caravans entering New Mexico stopped to pay customs taxes to the Mexican government. It was also the San Miguel County seat until 1864. Construction of the church began in 1806. Soon after, the Spanish government approved the land grant in 1794. Settlements such as San Miguel, Puertecito, San Jose, Las Mulas, Entrenosa, Guzano, Bernal, La Cuesta, and El Pueblo were established along the banks of the Pecos River. Others, such as San Juan, Rivera, El Barranco, Sina, Lovado, La Fragua, and El Cerrito, were founded later in the 19th century. One such land grant was granted to the settlement of Garambullo in 1826. The Salazars have lived on that land for more than 200 years. In talking with her father-in-law Ernesto, my mother-in-law Rebecca learned that he is the 6th or 7th generation of Salazars to live there. The house his ancestors built is over 200 years old and has seen many births and deaths. Rebecca's grandfather was born in that very house that Ernesto lives in. Rebecca had met Ernesto when doing research for her genealogy. She eventually met one of his sons, Guillermo, Billy for short. Rebecca and Billy are distant cousins, separated by 6 or 7 generations. I arrived in the region of Ribera Saturday afternoon and stopped by the San Miguel del Vado church, where my mother-in-law married her current husband, Billy, to take pictures. I started taking pictures nonstop after that, asking my husband Bobby to slow down or pull over constantly. He drove me around through the little towns until we reached Villanueva. He went to the bottom of the hill where Villanueva stopped and pulled over by a little altar. Inside of a box in a little area of trees, there was a small nativity scene that I would have completely missed if Bobby hadn't shown me. We started back up the hill, past the church of Nuestra Senora de Guadalupe, and wound our way up to the Rancho Ribera on the settlement of Garambullo. When Rebecca's great-great-grandmother passed away, her great-great-grandfather moved the family from Garambullo to La Palma, New Mexico in the 1920s. Back then, it used to be a thriving community. Now, all that is left are a handful of crumbling houses and other buildings, and some horses and cows owned by other family members. With no one around for miles and miles, the animals saunter around freely, grazing among the ruins that the Salazars once called home. I went to the side of La Palma that had the old store, some houses, and the old church. Everything was in ruins. There were abandoned houses, some more intact than others, but none livable. Some of them still had old clothes and appliances spread across the floors. The church was falling apart. Birds were its only inhabitants. The cemetery outside of the church was filled with weeds. No one had been looking after this land. Rebecca's grandmother's land is located on the other side of the highway, but we did not have the key for the gate. We did drive by it, and off in the distance, at the edge of a hill, I could see a large white rock. Rebecca has told me stories about that land and the large white rock. Rebecca told me about the homemade adobe houses, some of them 2 stories high. They used to hang red chile pods on her grandmother's roof to dry. She said that there used to be a morada on top of the white rock on their land. Her great-uncle was an actual penitente and was in some magazines from Santa Fe. His name was Miguel Archibek, and he traveled all over New Mexico and helped form the penitentes. I had always known my family had a long, extensive history, but I had no clue how rich and unique to New Mexico it was. Having Rebecca share all of these stories and her knowledge with me was such a great experience. And being able to go to so many small, some abandoned towns was so powerful. Sitting in Ernesto's home that is over 200 years old, talking about life now, was an experience I am fortunate enough to have had. His withered, weathered, and worn face is a tribute to his people, his culture, and his land. This is the story of the Salazars.
Hay tantas mujeres preciosas, en Belén, Socorro y las Cruces, también están muy hermosas. les quiero cantar de mi estado popular. Arriba Nuevo México, arriba mi estado querido, arriba mi Albuquerque y arriba con toda su gente. Arriba Nuevo México, arriba nuestra capital, arriba con Santa Fe y arriba mi estado popular.